All right, now that we've interviewed Cameron, we're now going to take a closer look at the car. This is Cameron's 2018 Nissan Leaf. This is the standard range model. It has the range of 150 miles. And we're going to do a quick walk around to take a look at the car and its dynamics. One of the things I'd like to do is open up the engine compartment, if you will, the motor compartment of the vehicle, because there's a lot of people out there that haven't seen the inside of an electric car to wonder what it's like. And one of the things that I've noticed that's interesting with some of these vehicles, unlike Tesla, is that they do make them look very similar to a gasoline vehicle so that they have some kind of gasoline car dynamic. Because if you were to open this up and not know anything about an electric car, you could swear that you were looking at a gasoline internal combustion engine when you are not. And you know what? The dynamics are similar, but we need to start looking at these cars like they are completely a separate invention. What I find interesting in this car is that the prop rod is, you come down with it here like you do instead of up, like you do with most cars. But the dynamics are very similar. You have here the HVAC system, which is the air conditioning. You have an overflow tank for the coolant. This is probably the master brake cylinder. This battery probably is for the heating and cooling of the cabin, the infotainment, and the battery pack, which is probably somewhere underneath the car, is for the power that's supplied to the motor itself. This is probably the motor. And the interesting, unique thing about this, it looks like an internal combustion engine, but for most cars in the future, this probably will go between the axles. And dual motor means a motor between every axle that's underneath the car. And here's a fuse box like there is in a regular gasoline car. And, you know, really that's it. Here's a fan to cool the coolant that in this case goes to the other dynamics of the car to cool them, not necessarily for the battery pack. One of the things that this vehicle does not have that makes it controversial is it doesn't have active cooling management. And that's one of the things that makes the Nissan so controversial. One of the reasons why I don't like it. Having active cooling is very, very important for the battery pack. It keeps the battery pack cool. You can have more options as far as charging and going at highway speeds that you just don't have without it. And this is what has caused the UK charging crisis last year in 2018 in the UK, where a lot of Nissan Leaf owners didn't know that they couldn't supercharge more than once within a certain time period. And here they are at a supercharging station somewhere in the UK, and the car is taking forever to recharge, to not even realize that they were in fail-safe mode. So this is the inside of a motor compartment of an electric car. Let's put this rod back up here. And the dynamics of it speak for itself. It's a very nice car for a Nissan Leaf. They didn't start off with this car being all that pretty. You remember with the original car, the original generation, they had the lights that came up onto the hood compartment. Many people didn't like that. They cleaned it up actually and made it more within the Nissan branding dynamic, which turned out, you know, for a Leaf, it's not that bad. It is somewhat of a handsome car. What I like about this interior, now the one that I showed you in the last episode in Orange County, it had leather. This is what it's like with the cloth interior. And actually, you take a look at it, I can make a case that I think it's a little bit more plush. The steering wheel is leather wrapped like it is in the car that we saw at the convention center. But it speaks for itself. One of the things that I like that Bolt cars, that Chevy Bolt didn't have, was that the seats were not power assisted. In this car, as you can see, they are. I think in the new 2020 Bolt that's going to be coming out in a few months, you're going to see that change as well. That probably will become power assisted as well. And here in the back seat, here we are again with the interior. The seats are split folding. And like I showed you in the convention center episode, I'm 6'1", and even with a seat all the way back in the front, I was able to get in, and it was a little bit cramped, but you can get by. And here is the engine, the rear hatch area. One of the things that Cameron is showing us is the charger. This is the auxiliary charger that comes with the vehicle, just in case you're in a bind. Here's the actual charger itself. And it comes in this really nice, convenient case. And all you gotta do is put this in and zip it up. And you can leave it in the back here. And here's the owner's manual. One of the things I recommend that people do, you really do need to read the owner's manual to an electric car. You can get by with not doing that with a gasoline car. It really is in your best interest to do it. It's one of the things I've learned in my process with Tesla owners is that you can tell when some of them have not read the owner's manual. And that's particularly with that flaw in the autopilot system that there was a time that I was trying to warn people about, and they actually made it about me. And thank goodness that I had a Tesla owner who had the owner's manual, ripped out the PDF and posted it right there in the comments section. It like shut everyone up. So, and it was a learning experience for me too. You really do need to read the owner's manual when you do get these cars. And basically, that's it. That's where we are with this. This is a 2018 Nissan Leaf. And I want to thank Cameron for showing us. So here we are. We're back with Cameron, and he's now going to show us how to charge a Nissan Leaf. So show us.
Yeah,
please.
So if you have a home charger like I have set up, you can just plug it in. Otherwise, you would take the one from the car.
The one in the back that you showed us.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's just a button over here for the charge port. Once you hold that, it'll go and unlock it. And then...
All right, so he just pressed that button.
Yep.
And this front door.
Yep, and there's going to be two ports here. This is the quick charge port that you can like open up for a quick charge. And this is the regular level 2 charger. If you open up this one, you just unplug it and then plug it in.
So this one is for the level 2 charger,
Correct.
and this one is for the supercharger.
Yep.
I see.
Yep.
At a public charging station.
At a public charging station, yeah.
Yes.
And then the lights go on.
And that's, oh yeah, okay, so yeah, that.
And that's sort of like an indicator to say your power level. So right now, it's at least 20%, the second one is 60%, and then the full bar would be 100%.
So you're somewhere between 20 and...
60%.
60%?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe it's 60%.
And this, I see General Electric tries to make this real easy.
Mm-hmm.
You just get that light.
Yep.
And then what does the exclamation point, this button down here, what does this
It's more of an indicator, so if there's any issues, fault codes, that will go on.
And do you get like a number or reading or something?
I don't know, I've never gotten one before.
Oh, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We won't even go there.
Yeah.
All right, Cameron, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it was a great experience, okay?
Of course.
So what I decided to do for a way to best gauge as to what changes have gone through with the Nissan Leaf was to make the years 2014 and the model year 2018 as the hallmark years that we saw a lot of changes made to the Nissan Leaf. And let's start with the 2014 model. With the 2014 model, you get 75 miles of range and an MPGe rating of about 126 city and 101 highway. Its 24 kilowatt electric 360 volt lithium ion battery has a charge time of about 2 hours on a wall outlet, 4 hours on a 220 volt outlet, and about a half hour charge probably on a level 2 440 volt charger. The Nissan Leaf is a commuter car. It is strictly a commuter car, especially in its short range version, and in that it makes a great tool to get around town, to be running errands, going to the supermarket, going to school, going to work if you're local, as a great source of cheap, no frills economy transportation. And if you have sources to recharge at your destination and point of origin, it cannot be beat. Now, here is where you have the cons, and where this problem, for example, it would run into problems with me. I rarely drive on a regular basis. It's only when I get an assignment or I get a gig and it's not readily accessible by public transportation or by Lyft or Uber. So if you have an erratic schedule of driving, this car probably is not for you. If you occasionally do long distance driving, and you know, as a matter of fact, you're going to be doing long distance driving, this car probably is not for you. One of the hallmark features of the 2014 Nissan Leaf that we saw was that the rear view camera became standard, and that is a safety feature. One of the things I noted in my research of the Nissan Leaf was how much attention to detail Nissan spent in trying to quiet the car. And you can see that noticeably with the 2018 model. For an example, one of the features that you note with sound barrier is that the car is equipped with an acoustical windshield and has vortex shedding body, which actually, as the car is driving along, it sheds the sound waves, I guess, away from the car. And one of the first things that you do notice when you get into the car is how quiet it is in the cabin, and even during highway operation, how quiet it still is. The second thing that you notice about the car is how capable it is with its handling. It's not a sports car, it's not a Mustang or a Camaro, but it does have reasonable, capable handling, and that torquey motor cannot be beat. And when it's in eco mode, it increases its economy by its regenerative braking and by reducing motor output. And it does things also by controlling climate control to conserve power. B mode increases regenerative powered braking, especially handy for downhill driving. You will feel the difference inside a Nissan Leaf, especially when you're skirting around corners, how that B mode feature really does come and kicks into play when you put your hands, you become more hands-on with the car. The interior may be futuristic, but the cabin also is very plain looking, and we really don't see that much of a significant change until the 2018 model comes along. The rear cargo has a very generous 24 cubic feet of cargo space, and the 60/40 split fold rear seat makes packing inside the rear cargo a lot more easier, although the seats don't fold flat, which could be a serious hampering to whatever you may put inside the back of the car. The Nissan Leaf is designated as a 5-passenger vehicle, but it really has a comfort level that is oriented for adults. The 2011 to 2019 Nissan Leaf saw metamorphosis in styling design, and as slender, integrated, and contoured LED headlights that we were all used to for the first 4 years of the Nissan Leaf, we gladly saw go away in the model year 2018. You know, I cannot understand why it is that car makers make electric cars, and they do this with autonomous cars, so ugly. There's really no reason for it. And I think they're becoming wise to it, and we see this with the 2018 model, how the front fascia of the Nissan Leaf falls in line with the styling cues of other Nissan models. The Nissan Leaf comes in 3 trim levels, the 2014 and the 2018. There's the base model with the rear view camera, Bluetooth, heated front and rear seats, which is kind of rare to be seen in a car of this segment. You usually see that in luxury cars and cars that are high performance, and in other upper segments. The Nissan Leaf has it. It has a 4-speaker AM/FM CD stereo and has USB auxiliary outputs for ports, and it has a 4.3-inch display. The mid-level SV line has a 7-inch display with 6 speakers and navigation, cruise, and better trimmings. The top SL model has a leather-wrapped steering wheel, leather interior, 17-inch wheels, LED headlights. It has a solar panel on the rear spoiler for the 12-volt system, and has a HomeLink transceiver. Options include a 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger for faster charging, and Edmunds recommends, whether it's the 2014 or the 2018 model, that you get the standard base S level trim and get the optional fast charger. And with the optional fast charger feature capability, you will have more options in that in charging the vehicle with the paltry either 80, 90, or 150-mile range to give you more options for fast charging to get back on the highway, just in case for those few times where you're going to have to drive the car for a little longer of a distance. The Nissan Leaf all around got 4 out of 5 stars from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That's a 4-star rating for front rollover, side barrier, and side crash ratings, which is pretty good for a car its size. Safety features include child door locks and seats, anchors, and door and passenger airbags, stability and traction control, front airbags, side curtain airbags, rear headrests, rear view camera. The 2018 Leaf is the most comprehensive revamp of the entire model line. Trim levels remain the same, but Edmunds recommends getting that base model, as I just mentioned. One of the unique features of the Nissan Leaf is the e-pedal. And the e-pedal is an advanced feature that goes beyond the regular regenerative braking that we're already used to with the Nissan Leaf. And in Cameron's car, I was able to take full advantage of the e-pedal to see what advantages and disadvantages that it has. As he mentioned in the interview, some of the customers who return the vehicle, he notices with the e-pedal turned off to know that they didn't use it. But once you get used to it, it's kind of like standard shift or driving a stick shift vehicle. It's an acquired taste with experience and time that once you get used to it and you get the feel for it, you start to use it to your advantage. It's a more pronounced braking that when you get used to it, it's really all about one pedal operation. This is one of the things that I think that I like probably the most about the 2018 Nissan Leaf is that e-pedal. And I saw that also used in the Jaguar I-Pace when it's in that mode. It's very, very similar that when you take your foot right off the brake, the accelerator rather, the brake immediately comes on. And if you use it to your advantage, it can come on strong. It's the same thing here with the Nissan Leaf for 2018. I tell you, one of the things that I liked most about that car was the e-pedal. It's an e-pedal that I have yet to experience on any electric car at all. It has a firm grip, and when you master it, you literally just have one pedal operation, which makes it truly, truly nice. It's amazing how that car has come along in a lot of good ways. So that wraps up our series of episodes for the Nissan Leaf. That concludes the road test. And we will probably move on to another vehicle in another series. So until then, I'm Al Castro for Sergeant Al's Traffic Ticket Blog. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any suggestions or ideas for future episodes, please let me know. Some of my loyal readers have already indicated to me some idea subjects, and we will be addressing them pretty soon coming up, integrating them into other series of episodes as we go along recording them. Also, if you have any questions or concerns, please email me. That's probably the sure and best way to get in touch with me is by contacting me at contact@alcastro.com. So until then, I'm Al Castro. Thank you so much. Stay with me. Thank you.